Hey there, RK here with an episode about the most anticipated movie in the furry fandom, Zootopia. This probably won't be the first video we do on Zootopia, as we've already touched on it briefly in the episode about media attention and hashtag TonyTigerGate. I watched Zootopia in a small theater the night before the official opening day in a theater that was not full. We went early anticipating a line, and instead we waited in the lobby playing House of the Dead. It was a great movie, but there wasn't anything super spectacular or groundbreaking about it. I have to agree with some reviews I've read giving it about 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10. If anything, I think the marketing behind the film is arguably the most fascinating thing about Zootopia. The film had a lot of heavy messages and hidden subtext for adults to pick up on, maybe too many. There's a lot to talk about. We will be discussing the film openly, so this is your official spoiler warning! Two main philosophies pop out in Zootopia: existentialism and racism, most appearing within the context of the species of the animals represented during the movie. The most obvious allegory of the film is the concept of racism, represented with individual species and their respective symbolism. Speciesism? For example, Nick Wilde is a shifty, cunning, savvy, economical, and good-hearted fox. However, he is constantly being labeled as sly and untrustworthy from the animals around him. Brief history. Thousands of years before Zootopia, there was a more recognizable food chain before the animals became civilized in order to thrive and survive together. Predator animals within the film are heavily discriminated against due to their primitive natures. The narrative through the film becomes heavily disrupted through the use of central and side characters. Nick Wilde uses his street smarts, knowing small-time criminals, and uses their strategies. Don Bellwether, a sheep who stands out from the crowd and leads a city in almost all of its matters, also who's totally trustworthy. Finnick, a fennec fox with an extremely deep voice and connivingly cute eyes and an amazing van. Yak's a laid-back yak with an incredible memory despite his aloof hippie demeanor. But perhaps the best use of this is Benjamin Clawhauser, the obese cheetah who works as the dispatcher at the police station with a love of donuts and of pop music, and who is perfectly harmless. Zootopia works against the racism rhetoric by taking species traits and flipping them upside down, challenging the world's prejudice, mirroring prejudice in our own world's civil rights movements. Another key focus of the film is Existentialist Philosophies. Zootopia's mantra is, "In Zootopia, anyone can be anything." Existentialism emphasizes individual freedom and choice, the view that people define their own meaning in life. Think the existential crisis, when someone questions the meaning of their life. This is exemplified by the character Judy Hopps, who becomes the first ever bunny cop and makes it her personal mission to make the world a better place. Never been done before in an animal utopia, her small stature poses a lesser threat to the large creatures. Judy, who's often undermined by the very police force she works under, shows her deductive ability, knowledge of the law, agility, and friends to assist her. She is a paradigm of personal choice, expression of freedom within the existentialist philosophy. Despite species discrimination, this hammers in the point. Anyone can be anything tailors to the extreme personal choice surrounding personality. You can be a cheetah that chooses to be friendly and conscientious, or a weasel that becomes exactly what he's expected to be, a crafty thief. Personified through the two main characters, Nick Wilde and Judy Hopps, a bunny through her personal strength became what she always wanted to be, despite being told repeatedly that she can't. She blasts through expectations of others. She is what she sees within herself. Unlike Nick in the beginning of the film at least, Wilde unfortunately suffers through the self-fulfilling prophecy. For example, let's say you have glasses. Intelligent people are often seen with glasses. Therefore, people who see you as smart, or you see yourself as smart. You read better, you become more intelligent, you are now the intelligent person with glasses. Victim of discrimination as a young kid, he was labeled as untrustworthy, sly, a predator. It was through these labels he became a small-time con artist, but only with the help of Judy is he finally able to see that he can be trustworthy and be all of the things he wanted to be when he was young. Zootopia is a movie based around the idea of free choice. Anyone can be anything rings true at the end of the movie, but it has unique questions. How much of who we are is self-determined or made by others? Do we sculpt others by our own personal judgments? How much of us is a contribution made by everyone we've ever met? This is only scraping the surface. We could talk about themes of bullying experienced by both main characters in their childhood, in their home, and in their workplace. We could talk about the ever-present themes of animal mortality throughout the film, or even the constant sexual references spattered throughout the film, such as Judy's expansive family. We could talk about classism and how animals are given limited options for their careers based on their species. We could talk about role reversals of country bunny, city bunny, cop, con artist, predator, prey. We could talk about the significance of everybody being scratched in the face. We could even go in depth about the philosophy behind Thomas More's Utopia and Plato's Republic, and how Judy Hopps finds out the hard way that the perfect utopia doesn't exist. I have been your host, RK. Thanks for watching.
Hey, I'm Underbite.
And I'm RK.
Together we are...
Culturally Effed. Are you headed to Furry Equinox 2016 in Toronto, Ontario, Canada? Because we are!
We're going to be running a panel there on Saturday afternoon, 12 o'clock in the Macintosh room. We'll have a live Q&A session, as well as a showing of our newest series.
Culturally Effed After Dark, the show all about furries and sex. It will be the first public showing of it.
It's going to be great. It's going to be a lot to pack in an hour.
If that changes, please consult your convention guidebook, and I hope to meet some of you.
I hope to meet some of you too. I think that would just be wonderful.
Victim of discrimination as a young fox. Wait, isn't there a name for a young fox?
A kit?